Hey everybody, it's Tafony here once again. Hope you're doing well. Today we're rambling with the Ohmforce Bohm. It is an 18 HP digital Eurorack kick and it sounds like this. Okay, there's a tremendous amount of depth to the Bohm, so I think the best way to go about this is to go through all the different algorithms in what I'm considering in a knit patch. If you think there's a more knit patch out there, what you would tweak on this, you let me know. But basically what I have done is set the length to the middle, the sustain the same, the attack to the middle. I'll talk about the attack later in the video, how it's not like envelope attack specifically, but we'll get to that. Pitch at the lowest, the pitch range is only 1 octave corner to corner, so I like it on the low end. I wish it almost went a little bit lower, but again, we'll talk about that in a bit. Curve at noon, same for the transient decay. Color at noon as well. I may noodle with the color a little bit to demonstrate the algorithms, but we'll see how we feel. Effects is off for now. We'll get to that later in the video. And then the TRS tone at noon, not pan to the left, which is one tone, and right for the other. So 4 on the floor, 120 BPM. I feel like this is the most straightforward way to demonstrate a kick, the way that will allow us to compare the different algos the best. So right now we are starting with FM2X, which is a 2-operator carrier modulator FM kick. I love, when it comes to digital, FM kicks, love them. Wavetable kicks, love them. There's both of these on board and we'll get to them, but we'll just start with this one. I think I will do a little bit of color tweak in. You almost see some like wave foldy stuff getting into square wave territory. To the right, different color, getting into triangle wave territory. And in the middle, that sinus punch. Alright, second algo, HZ1, which is wavetable oscillator kick combined with a transient synthesizer. Wavetable synthesizer, I don't know why, I just have this like, I'm attached to them for some reason. They just sound so effortlessly nasty in a way. They're just like textures there. I don't know what it is. I'm also finding I love bit reduction too, so you might hate all of those things, but my taste, yes. Color to the right. Color to the left. Really sinusy in the middle, but this one, especially when you start noodling with that transient synthesizer, as they called it, it donks. It gets crazy. Next one is the OLP4, which is a 4-operator FM kick inspired by the OPL3 chip. It is probably the most experimental model of the library and probably my least favorite because it's pretty complicated. I am going to jump ahead here just to show you there's a bunch of different algorithms on here. And they're all just listed as like fractions, or at least divided by slashes. And notice that it previews them while you're going through this list. You don't have to click them in to enter. That actually sounds pretty good. And this is cool and experimental. color's not changing this one as much. But probably not how I'd want to program FM on here, but some of the snapshots I was listening to before sounded really good. I just don't know if I have that level of knowledge to go through that. So I'm getting too far ahead of myself, but you can also set your waves. I just don't think we can talk about that 4-op FM one without diving in a little bit. So then on the opposite side, the most simple of them all is the PMK1, which is a physical model of an acoustic bass drum. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with these ones, but I found this one was kind of hard to get going how I liked. So I'll bring the pitch up on this one. There's so much reverb, it sounds like, even with the effects off. Color at noon. It just sounds like I'm in a big room, even though the effects are off. So if we take the transient off, curve off, no. I don't know. Oh, sustain down sounds better. Attack. It's just like there's no body, right? But then when I use the transient, it's still just sounds like snare drum in the background. I wonder if that's intentional. Anyway, I don't know if this one's for me necessarily. I want to make techno donk, so I'll get my pitch down, my curve back to noon, and then we'll keep on going. PX3, another wavetable one that I love. Oh, listen to it. Listen to that. Just, what is it? The effortless digitalness. And again, I am hearing a little bit of reverb. I think that's the transient engine has a certain reverb duty, I guess. But here's the color. Wavetable position, right? It says, oh man. Or it modulates the wavetable position. I'm not scanning through the wavetable directly with it. Yes. 1,000 times yes. That actually might be my favorite one. It might have been confusing my wavetable algos, but man, that sounds so, so good. I just love that crunch. Okay, SP6. The SP6 model is a wavetable oscillator kick with digital sounding wavetables combined with drum layering samples made from synthesized transient FM hi-hats and FM snares. Interesting. So if I listen to those FM hats, yeah, you get some FM action going in the back. I don't love that as much, but I do love this. Yeah. And those lengths are up. So much low end. If I pitch it up a little bit, I think I was leaving audio territory a hair, but man, there's just no shortage of low end. Pitch that back down, bring the length back down. I want to have at least a somewhat comparable comparison. VXT is a wavetable oscillator kit combined with a transient synthesizer. Again, there's a couple of them. I feel like some of you might know these acronyms are referencing something. I don't know if that's supposed to be an allusion to the microwave or some sort of Waldorf thing. If you are, let me know, because I don't know these. Get a little bit of top end there, I like that. I won't get to the effects just yet, although I want to. Yeah. And then another one. WT4 wavetable oscillator with analog sounding wavetables combined with drum layering samples made from synthesized transients, so kind of like the other one, but less digital, more analog sounding. That actually sounds really good. Sometimes getting the length up and the transient down, depending on whether or not you like the transient, can sound really nice. Yeah. And I'd want to like have a slow LFO moving through these colors, which we'll do later on in this video, I hope. Final algorithm, XT88. XT88 model is a wavetable oscillator kick, once again with drum layering samples where the user can load their own wavetables and samples. I guess it comes with some preloaded. I didn't realize you could load your own. That's interesting. There is a just a straight up good kick at the bottom. Love that. but it gets real nasty. If I go into the models, you got a bunch of different wavetables, 809. Well, you have two different wavetables, 809. And then rand, and there's a brightness to it. Maybe I want to try 809, bring the color down, bring the brightness up. Interesting. Transient layering, effects we'll talk about in a moment. So that's all the algorithms. I really liked the one. Let's go back here and get over to the one I really liked, which was the PX3. Yes. I know some of you love the analog sounds, and I'm discovering more and more I just like digital raunch. Is that so bad? Don't answer that. There's a lot of algorithm overlap, right? Like, you can take these ones and make them nasty. You can take the nastier algorithms and make them softer, everything in between. So I think sometimes just like start where you want to start and then carve out where you want to be, or work through designing some snapshots that you can save. And if I can also start this video off on that note too, a lot of the reason why I actually ended up picking this one up, because I was kind of like, it's a lot of money and I don't want to go for that, especially since it seems a little bit like the expanders are kind of required, although I don't really feel they are. The snapshot and the snapshot reload options on here are what I want for live. I want to be able to come in here, do a transition, load it up on the Hermod, and then come in here, we'll just hit load. And these are all empty because I haven't created any snapshots, but the plan is to go in, recall, transition, use my crossfade to get over to those. So yeah. Okay, I know the order is a little bit backwards, but I think now that we've gone through all the algorithms at the super top level, now we can go in and talk about the specific controls. I'll just say they do vary a little bit algorithm by algorithm. Like the color on this one will mean different wavetables for the FM. Different algorithms will mean different things, but most of these controls generally will apply to all the algorithms, like the length, sustain, attack, which we'll go through now. So length adjusts the overall duration of the kick from tight clicks up to long sustained thumps. And I will say, here comes our 120 BPM. Even at the shortest, they're not tight clicks to me. And I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, or maybe it's gated and I'm not sending impulses from the Hermod. That might be on me, but not super tight. If I lengthen it up though, pitch it up, you'll hear how when the sustain is down, it's affected, right? Just like a regular envelope. So sustain, it says, sets the perceived volume tail of the kick, letting you balance punch versus body in the mix. So at least in this configuration, I feel like more sustain the better, because that non-TRS transient at the end, it's a little quieter, so I want to crank that up. And I like that different, almost dual sounding thing that's going on. I really like that. Attack controls the amount of high frequency transient energy at snap to smooth it out. So this doesn't mean fading in like an envelopes attack. It kind of means a transient introduction. So I'm thinking like click, right? But they call it attack, and that's okay. Maybe it applies more on different algorithms depending on how you're set up, but like, yeah. And I will say, I think they've somewhat intentionally made these controls, pretty fine. Like, it seems like I can't completely get too loud or too quiet. There's always going to be some click going on, and that's probably pretty intentional. You're kind of always in the sweet spot, and that is appreciated. Since this is going to be in my live case, I do appreciate that. It's hard to leave the sweet spots unless you're really trying to. If I pitch this down, we'll start with the next row, which they describe as tuning and transient. So pitch tunes the fundamental frequency from the kick from C1 to C2, either by manual knob or full proactive tracking, which is interesting. It seems very fine, meaning I can, again, the range isn't super crazy. I'm expecting when I tweak a pitch knob for it to just like, I don't know, go out of audio territory and way up, but that's fine because I am limited in a place where it always sounds good. I do almost want to just get a little lower though. There was kind of something I said about the Percon's voice too, that it's just like I want to be a little lower, but maybe we can do so with the curve. If I turn the curve all the way to the left, morphs the pitch envelope shape to the left, counterclockwise for soft 808 style pitch drop, or to the right clockwise for 909 style snappier envelopes. Which is interesting that some of these, like the TRS tone, have that arrow on the top to signify that it's left versus right, whereas the curve is left versus right. but doesn't have that signifier. And I love my 909s, which is interesting too here because you're kind of making a click, right, with pitch envelope, but you also get click controls. So if we take our click all the way off and our pitch envelope all the way off, you just kind of have a pretty flat waveform, which is nice because there's this ability in your set to bring in some more as you go. Kicks can increasingly get harder and harder. Right? There's a lot of layers of dynamics here, which I really appreciate. So the last one is TRS decay, sets how quickly the transient fade in clears, balancing punch versus present. So if we turn up our TRS, and I thought TRS, like I don't know, thinking like Roland sequencers for some reason, but this stands for transient. Turn up our transient decay. Yeah. And it does have an effect based on the curve, right? I guess that's where your pitch is landing is affecting the transient is my guess, but turn that down a little bit. Just, it knows where to stay in like fundamental oomph, right? I'd love to hear that on a big sound system. Now, while we're talking about TRS decay, I'm going to skip ahead to the last one on the final row, which they describe as tone and effects. Starting on the right side, because we were just talking about transient, is the transient tone. TRS tone shapes the transient's timbre, darker for tighter thuds, brighter for pronounced clicks. So darker. Interesting. Somewhere in between. I don't think you'll want to get into this like bit redux territory probably, but maybe later on you. Ooh, there's that. Just like a little bit of clipping. Yeah. If I turn down my decay a little bit, you can tastefully use it. But if you don't tastefully use it, it gets donkin'. A little less attack. And then we'll go to the brighter side. I don't know how much I like that one, but again, maybe it would work if I could pitch it down a little bit more. I don't know. Oh, it sounds nice. No, maybe pitching it up a little bit. Yeah. I wonder if that's also has something to do with both of the operators, the FM, because we're in the FM algorithm. I don't know, but I feel like I want this overall sound to be lower, but I want those harmonics to be higher. If that makes any sense. If you've been watching the show for any amount of time, you know it's basically just the babblings of a madman. Ramblings, if you will. Okay, color. So first one on the left is adjust the body's harmonic content. Wow, I was just talking about harmonic content. From warm analog timbres to bright wavetable tones. And I assume that was to the left. Again, it's one of those that to the left is one thing, to the right does another, which is very BIA or noise engineering in my mind, but it's kind of interesting how the TRS tone, I guess the arrow, was to signify that it was related to the TRS decay and not that it was dual-sided. Hey, we're learning things on the way. Color coming back up to noon. Okay, that makes sense. I was wondering why this one was the only arrow of all the ones that had dual functions per side. And that's why. It's to say that it's related to the TRS decay above it. Bright side. Yeah. Now, before we get into the effects, I just wanted to say my biggest complaint with this entire thing, and I don't remember off the top of my head if an expander had this, but I just want an envelope out. Like, that's a classic thing with BIA. I just want to, whether it's the effects, maybe it's the color, I just want to use the envelope of the entire thing to create a sweep, be it for the color, be it for the pitch. First thing that comes to my mind is the color while we're talking about it, but like, I just want to be able to, in the whole cycle, take the envelope that's being generated and, use it to modulate itself. Because I feel like I want to, per kick, do that. But on this, you'd have to take your trigger, use a mult, send it to an envelope generator, bring it back in, try and match it to what's going on here. That's okay. I just really feel like that's the only thing I'm missing at the moment. But what you're not missing here is a ton of effects. So let's try and dial in something a little tasty. I'll do a little bit of less attack. I really like the body. A little bit of donkin. I feel like there's a little bit of high end maybe missing. If I turn this ratio up, how does it sound? Get some more FM goodness. But I don't think this is going to go up to like crazy audio rate madness or anything. I'm just hearing like more triangle because we're using color. A little floppier, pitch it up. Interesting. What I did come in here, and you'll see, because I don't have the expanders, the groove and performer stuff is grayed out. You can randomize everything. I won't do that right now. There's not a ton of things in the core module like this would just randomize a ratio and the effects, but you know, super easy tool for what am I feeling like doing? Well, I'll just come in here and randomize it all. How's that sound? That sounded better than what I created. So what was that? Effects being wavefold, which we've brought in a hair of, and the ratio being 0.5. So that's cool. I want to talk about the effects. I'm just going to scrub through them all by bringing them in. Here's tube, bass, crank them up all the way just so you can hear them. Soft, hard. Again, there's so many different ways on here to get different types of grit. It's almost like you got to pick your poison, right? Like, do you take your transient and blast it? Do you take your attack? Do you do a ton of curve? Do you do all of these things and turn it into just a square wave? I don't know. But that's the hard. And then my favorite is the wavefold. Some different algorithms have different effects, though, which I'm going to take this opportunity to jump over once we've gone through these and a little bit of more depth. Here's wavefold. Hard. Yeah. Soft. Just manually going through the mix. Bass. Tube. And again, this I feel like is a good, it's not super drastic, but I feel like it would be a great candidate for sending in an envelope and then just having it pronounce your transients more by bringing in that effects amount. But again, have to do that myself, I suppose. So on that note, let's go through a different model because you do get different effects. And I am not in this video going to go through every piece of minutia because there's so much here. This is different clicks you get to choose, wavetables you get to choose. A nice thing, you get to preview them all while you're scanning through this menu. But you do get different effects depending on the algorithm. This one doesn't have any different ones, but the one I was thinking of... Again, if you are a FM pro, you will know this a lot better than I will. But what I wanted to see was the effects. No effects. Okay. This one did have effects? No, not this one either. This is the one that I was talking about that has a decimator. Listen to this algo. I love this one. My Percons is just getting jealous. Like, I was like, I knew this video was going to involve a bunch of punch in the air. Shadow boxing. Bass. Off. Up. New. Soft. Yeah. Hard. Yeah, this is the one with the extra algorithms. And that's another reason why this is my favorite algorithm. Just listen to this. I don't know. People are always like, oh, I don't have any. I get a lot of comments that are like, I don't have any drum modules. And I'm just like, this is like the reason to be in your rack for me, right? What else does this, right? Let me know in the comments because I would love to hear it. And I think this sort of thing is why I didn't mesh with the analog rhythm as much this last time around, because I love all this digital stuff. And maybe that's why I love the Percon so much. Wavefold. We already talked about these algorithms. I just really like to hear it in this context. So these are the new ones, though. Here's the Bit Crush. Yes. And I know that expander would be really cool to have because you could use that slider to bring this in. I know. I'm just trying to tell myself I don't need it. Isn't that? What if we used an envelope to bring bring that in. So we'll plug that into the effects. And again, this is a little bizarre to see, but we bring that in now. Bring in some randomization. Yeah. And then I'm using bipolar, we should use unipolar. Maybe we'll attenuate that a little bit so it's not as crazy. I really dig that though. Decimator. Don't like this one as much, but I also like Decimator and Bit Crush. I want them at the same time, because Decimator on its same, you get these like pitched harmonics, right? I don't want that as much. I want just a little bit of Decimator and a ton of Bit Crush. Yeah! Listen to that. What if we modulate some other things? Oh man. Sorry, I just can't help myself. Randomize your decays by using the length. Oh, listen to that rumble in the back, right? Pitch it up, curve down. Let's go in the 808 territory. Does sound more 808-y. Yeah. It just gets disgusting. And you might hate how that sounds, but that is very much to my taste. Sustain down. Attack down. Bring my randomness in a little bit slower. Yeah. We'll send a triangle wave LFO somewhere as well. I don't know, maybe we'll go curve? And I don't know if it can take negative voltage or not. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it can. So maybe I would want envelopes for this, but... You hear that? Yeah! When you're using these tube or bass and soft and the other algorithms, I have a hard time. This is... some of you have taste, but for me, I'm just like... It sounds great cranked. Like, why? If I'm using those algorithms, I just want to blast them, right? Maybe not wavefold as much, but... Are you hearing this? BX3. This is my favorite algorithm. Let's go to the other ones. Sustain up. Just make it warble. Let's go into layer it with some different things. I have no idea what any of these means. Derb. PWM. Here, I'm doing pulse width modulation by selecting different things from the menu. Sine 1.2, no 1,2 saw. Wavefold. Ooh. Wonder if because of modulating the effects, it's bringing it past 100%. I don't know. But yeah. Speed it up a little bit for fun. 143. It's alright. Like thing is, I don't have any technical term for, like, I love these donks. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it donks. There's an infinite amount of donks available on board, and that's something I can appreciate. But also, in your set, pretty easy to create some dynamics just with twists of knobs, right? And my plan as well is to come in here and go snapshot, recall stuff as part of transitions. There is also, if you hold this down, configuration options, where you can switch between studio and live. I'm going to keep it in the studio setting, but there are options to sort of, in a live mode, cue it up where you can sort of pre-program your transitions. I believe there's even some fanciness that you can do by using the two outputs for sort of like polyphony, where it can prepare on the one side and send one kick before the other for transitions and stuff like that. There's an insane level of depth that we're already way over time here. But yeah, if you want donks, if you like digital kicks, then you'll love the Bohm. I think, I know I do. Is it better than the Ultra Kick is what everyone's asking? And the answer is, it depends. I know, it's so exciting. Maybe just for all of y'all at home, maybe we'll do a head-to-head comparison. It certainly has more range, but I feel like the Ultra Kick is always good. To use a scientific term, it's always classic. Like, and classic, I don't mean in tone, I just mean like it's always good. It's never bad. It's never fussy. It's almost impossible to leave the sweet spots. It's a resonant filter-based analog drum. It's easy to get from gentle to donking. This is Ultra Kick right now. Easy to get from soft to donking, like I said, but never sounds bad. It's a little smaller, the Ultra Kick. It's definitely more analog, right? It's also louder, I'd say. When you crank up the comp and the distortion stuff, you see my oscilloscope is just getting blasted. Something to consider if that's something you're concerned about. But I don't know. I'm keeping both. The Bohm will be going in the live case though, because I want that patch recall, and that's also why I bought it. So hey, I'm Tafony. What's your favorite kick? Does battering RAM make a consideration? Does the Percon's voice? I don't know. Shout it out in the comments. If you have any questions, give me a shout, give me an email, all that good stuff. I'm Tafony. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Let's donk.